I want to touch a little bit on this term that I call emofluence, or really it's just a fancy word for what I call emotive influencing. We know a lot of influencer marketing nowadays in the market, right? Everybody is talking about being able to be a key opinion leader or an influencer. Very often, we are not exactly influenced by them. And I realized that the real influencers, the people that can really influence you, and not just persuade you, but make a lasting change in you, are those people who are able to touch you emotionally. So I realized that the key to so-called influencing, right, is really to integrate it with emotions. And then the next part will be, how exactly do we do that? And what are the tools that we can use to do that?
Ready to level up your content marketing strategies? This is Level Up Content Play with Rio Leong.
I love the movie Inception, and it's really about planting ideas. And once you are able to plant an idea into somebody and it sticks, we know that it can be very, very powerful. Well, from your terrorist to your fanboy, fangirl, going after the pop stars and your artists and all that, we know that every one of them are capable of making a decisions themselves, but actually they are kind of like brainwashed. The decisions are not very rational after that. So the key is really, if you are able to connect with people and really plant an idea into them, you are then able to inspire them to act on certain things according to what you want. We want to win hearts, plant ideas, and inspire actions. And you can't just expect followers on Instagram will automatically mean that they are your fans. So you really need to connect with them at an emotional level first to win their hearts. Then you can plant the ideas. And then finally, you can then move on to get them to do what you want them to do. We are familiar with this scene, of course, not now during the COVID-19 situation, but in the past, okay, when you see people selling flags on the street, right? How much will you donate on the street? Is it $1 or less? In other words, you just use some loose change, or would you give maybe $2, $5, $10 or more? Majority of you will donate like the loose change, right? Less than $1. I have a story, all right? And it really happened to me just slightly more than a year ago, all right? When I went on a trip to Poland, and I was approached on the street to make a donation. And I end up donating 10 times more, or even more than 10 times what I will usually donate, because I'm just like you. I will just give the loose change, at most $2. But in that particular instance, I donated like, I think upwards of the equivalent of Sing dollars, maybe $15 to $20. This was the street that I was walking down, in Warsaw. All right. And all of a sudden, there's this young lady that approached me, and she said this: "I think you are the person I'm looking for." I was a bit stunned because I don't know how to react, because it wasn't a question. There's nothing that I need to react to. And she followed up with the next sentence, which was even more powerful. "We are looking for, or I am looking for, a hero." And then she started to share the story about this poor little girl that is in a orphanage or something like that. The fact that the government is not able to support their cause and all that, and that's why they have to raise funds. And the money will help this little girl survive, go for operation or whatever it is. And therefore, this little opportune time between us at this stage is giving me the stage to become a hero by donating the money. I didn't really know how to respond, except that you first call me a hero. And since I have accepted that statement by continuing to listen to your story, I cannot back up after that, right? If I'm really the hero, I cannot don't give money, right? I cannot don't save this little girl, right? So that whole story, starting from the fact that she related to me by saying that I'm the person she's looking for and that I'm the hero that she's looking for. And then after that, going into this whole story of how I can potentially be the hero for this little girl, really moved me emotionally enough to donate 10 times more than the usual people on the street that will get from me if it's in Singapore. So that essentially tells me about really the power of storytelling, because story is really the key tool that we can use to touch people emotionally. Stories will draw us into the scenario. She brings me into the whole movement of helping the poor children. All right. So I'm no longer a stranger. She draws me into it by saying that I'm the one she's looking for. And the next thing is she evoked the emotions, obviously the male ego in me, by saying that I'm the hero. And then subsequently spur the reaction by saying that, okay, now hero, I need your help. Can you please donate? So stories are capable of doing that. In Singapore, our national dish is chicken rice. But when is chicken rice not really chicken rice? And when can you sell much more expensive than your regular hawker center chicken rice? There's this particular restaurant called Soup Restaurant, and they sell it as Sam Sui chicken. All right. And this is taken from their website. It is a traditional Sam Sui dish consumed by Sam Sui women in Chinatown. So the first thing is there is legacy. So you know that, hey, this is not just any dish. There is a legacy to it. There is a special story behind it. And then the next thing is, due to their low income, the Sam Sui ginger chicken was only consumed once a year during Chinese New Year. All right. You have scarcity. This is not a common dish. It is a dish that is only consumed once a year, but now you can consume it as long as you walk into the restaurant and pay for it. And then ginger and sesame oil, as believed by the Chinese, remove excess wind from the body and so on. So what you have here is consensus, because all Chinese believe these medicinal properties of your sesame oil and your ginger. So with this simple story, now you have elevated this dish. So that will really make the dish a lot more special. And even though in reality, it is almost equivalent to your chicken rice, but we are willing to pay the extra for it simply because of the story. What is the number one mistake that most marketers will always fall into when they are using stories? You might think that it's your story, but the truth is you cannot be the hero. We all want to be a hero. It is natural because let's say you watch a movie. Most of the time we will project ourselves into the main character, the hero, right? And we would feel like, hey, if I am rich enough to build that iron suit, I can become Iron Man as well. So all of us yearn to be that hero, right? And that's why we are so attached to the drama and willing to binge watch like 20 episodes in one weekend, that kind of a thing, right? Because we have invested our emotions into the character. And simply because all of us hope to be the hero. So if you are doing stories for a brand, whether is it your personal brand or your company's brand, if the company's brand is the hero, what is left for your audience? Then your story will not be able to connect with your audience at all. So what should the brand be? The brand is actually the sidekick. So what do you mean by a sidekick? It means that the brand's role is always to help the audience be the hero. The brand should not be the hero. The audience should be the hero. And therefore, the brand should only be the sidekick or the solution, okay, to the problem. And the first thing is really to be relatable. For marketing, for all of us, it's all about understanding our target audience, okay, and really knowing their needs, empathizing with them, and coming up with solutions that really solve their problems rather than focusing on us all the time. Second one would be, what's your problem? Or rather, you need to make the customer's problem your problem. When we want to be relatable, we want to know that when we tell a story, there is always a goal behind it. We do want to serve the target audience, right? There has to be some sort of a solution that you're offering as well. And you can only offer a solution if you understand the problem that the customer is facing. And you can then incorporate that into your story appropriately, and allowing your brand to be seen in the story as the sidekick or the solution. And the final point that I want to share is really about red herrings and Easter eggs. This is actually the most difficult part when it comes to telling a good, engaging story. Red herrings is a case where you try to build the story in a way to make people expect certain things, but in actual fact, it is not the solution. This gives a little bit more drama to the story that you are trying to tell, so that you are able to capture their attention and keep their attention going. So in a way, the girl, when she approached me in Warsaw, when she started and say that I'm looking for a hero and I think that hero is you, the initial red herring was, I thought she's the one that needs help. And of course, when somebody approach you on the street saying that maybe she needs some help, like with directions or whatever, you are more willing to help and so on. But it was a red herring, because then she took out her material to say that this is the little girl that needs help. It was a little bit of a red herring there, and it made me continue to listen to the story, because in the beginning, I have already committed myself to want to help this lady, only to realize that she's not the one that I'm supposed to help, but the little girl, which makes it even more compelling, because this is a helpless little girl that needs help. When it comes to Easter eggs, right, we know about Easter eggs being something that we want to hunt for it. We are going down the rabbit hole, and every step of the way, she is just bringing me deeper and deeper into this story of this little girl that needs help, until finally she reveals the Easter egg and say that you have now an opportunity to be that hero. So that is really what the red herring and Easter egg is all about. I hope this kind of gives you some idea how you can start producing content even for your social media posts or your marketing strategy and so on. If you have successfully created that story world and the person is really bought into this story world, they are going to live it out within that story world, and they might even be your content producers and telling their friends about your services and your products, because they will be contributing to that story as well. As usual, remember to subscribe and turn on the notification so that you will know when is the next episode coming out. See ya!